sky me, where brains go to broadcast.
Welcome, everyone. Today we're exploring something really fundamental, something that shapes how we share ideas and understand the world around us. We're talking about the art of persuasion.
That's right. And it's more than just arguing. It's a skill.
Definitely a skill. Think about it, maybe trying to get a friend to see your point, or even just making sense of a news report. Persuasion is everywhere.
It really is. And what's fascinating, I think, is how often we sort of misunderstand what a real argument is in this context.
You mean it's not just about, winning
Yeah.
or being the loudest?
Exactly. It's not a shouting match. It's about building a reasoned case, something thoughtful, designed to actually connect with how someone else thinks.
Okay, so our goal today is basically to equip you, the listener, with the tools to do that effectively, and maybe spot when it's being done to you.
Precisely. Understanding the mechanics helps on both sides.
All right, let's unpack this then. What's the real point of persuasion in writing or speaking?
Fundamentally, it's about convincing, maybe motivating, or just gently moving people towards a certain viewpoint, an opinion.
And the fact that you even need to persuade someone implies something important, right?
Absolutely. It implies there's more than one valid way to look at the issue. If it was just one simple, undeniable fact, well, no persuasion needed.
Makes sense. So it's not a fight.
No, not in this sense. Thinking of an argument constructively as a way to advance ideas changes the whole picture.
So instead of raised voices, we should picture what?
Yeah.
A carefully built case.
Exactly. A reasoned opinion backed up by evidence, explained clearly. It's about moving knowledge forward, fostering understanding, not just scoring points.
So the goal isn't really to win, like you said.
Mhm.
It's more about getting your audience to see your perspective as, valid, worth considering.
That's a great way to put it. Persuade them to consider it as a valid take. It's a subtle shift, but yeah, really powerful.
And to do that effectively, it starts right at the beginning with the introduction.
Absolutely. And within that intro, the thesis statement is key.
The thesis, not just any sentence then.
No. It's your North Star. It has to be clear, specific, and state your point of view directly. It tells the audience exactly where you're headed.
Okay, clear thesis. Got it.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something earlier that caught my ear. Avoiding a negative claim in the thesis.
Yes. This is a neat strategic point.
At this, instead of saying, the hourly minimum wage is not high enough.
You frame it positively, like the hourly minimum wage is low or insufficient.
Why does that small change matter so much?
Well, persuasive arguments tend to land better when they're building a positive case. You're giving the audience something concrete, a position, rather than just highlighting a negative or a lack. It feels more constructive.
Interesting. So framing matters.
Hmm.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Building trust, credibility. How do we do that? Especially if people might already disagree with us.
Well, counterintuitively, perhaps, you absolutely have to acknowledge the other side, the opposing ideas.
Really, you don't just focus on your points.
No, because ignoring them can make you look, well, maybe unsure or fearful, or maybe just unaware that other valid points exist.
Which doesn't exactly scream trustworthy expert.
Right. And this brings up a key question, doesn't it? How can you really persuade someone if you don't first show you actually understand their perspective?
So you address the counter-arguments.
Yes. And strategically, it's often powerful to do it earlier rather than later.
Earlier. Why is that?
Because it shows you've considered the whole picture right from the start. Then you can spend the rest of your time carefully countering those points and building your own case. You sort of control the narrative flow.
I see. So you address their point, then pivot back to yours, leaving your ideas fresh in their mind.
Exactly. You get the last word on that point, so to speak. And it makes you seem reasonable, fair, someone who's done their homework.
And that builds the credibility we were talking about. People are more likely to listen if they think you're being fair.
Definitely. And another related point here is establishing the limits of your own argument.
Limits, like saying what you can't solve. Doesn't that weaken your case?
Not necessarily. It can actually build trust through honesty. You're showing humility. Like admitting, okay, my solution isn't perfect, it won't fix everything, but it's an important step.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Someone arguing for, say, tougher gun control might concede, although stricter laws are a powerful first step, such legislation alone can't end these problems, since guns aren't the only issue.
Okay, yeah. That sounds reasonable. It shows you see the complexity.
Exactly. It earns a nod, even from people initially skeptical.
And there are phrases you can use for this. Like cues.
Yeah, simple concession words work well. Things like, although, granted that, of course, still, though, yet. They signal you're acknowledging another angle.
Right. Okay. This makes sense. But even if we do all that, there's still bias. Our own personal leanings, how does that fit in? We all have them.
Oh, absolutely. From coffee preferences to, deeply held beliefs, bias is human.
So how does it affect persuasion? Is it always bad?
Well, what's interesting here is that it can be both a strength and a weakness.
How so?
The strength is motivation. If you genuinely care, if you're invested because of your beliefs, you're likely to put in the effort to build a really strong case. Your passion fuels it.
Okay, that makes sense. The weakness then.
The weakness, or the trap, is when that bias blinds you, makes you ignore good counterarguments or exaggerate your points, or maybe makes you unfair to the other side.
Yeah, I can see that. And you mentioned another potential pitfall, using I too much.
Yes, the excessive use of I. It's a common point of discussion.
Why is that a problem? Isn't it just being direct about your opinion?
Sometimes, but two things happen. One, repeating any word too much is just distracting. But more significantly, structurally, when you say I think or I believe, the word I often becomes the grammatical subject of the sentence.
Okay.
So the focus subtly shifts from the topic itself to you and your personal feeling about it. Compare smoking is bad, subject to smoking, with I think smoking is bad. Now, I is the subject. It can make the argument seem less about the issue and more about your personal stance.
Ah, interesting distinction. So it can make it feel more like personal opinion and less like a reasoned argument about the topic itself.
Potentially, yes. It depends on context, of course, but it's something to be mindful of. You want the message, the subject, to be the star, generally speaking.
Got it. Keep the focus on the issue. Okay, let's move to the core components. Facts and opinions? We kind of know the basics. Facts are verifiable, right?
Right. Objective data, things you can prove. 2 + 2 = 4. Historical dates, scientific measurements, that sort of thing.
But opinions, they're personal views.
Yes, judgments, beliefs. But, and this is crucial for persuasion, an opinion needs backing to have weight in an argument. It needs legitimate support.
Meaning evidence. Credibility?
Exactly. That's why we value an expert's opinion in their field. A dentist on teeth, a mechanic on cars, like you said earlier.
Right. The dentist's opinion on my car isn't worth much, and vice versa. Their expertise gives their opinion authority, but only in their domain.
Precisely. So in persuasion, you need that blend. Credible facts and well-supported authoritative opinions. Too much of just one can lose the audience.
And you can't really prove an argument on a debatable topic, can you?
That's a key insight. You really can't, not in the way you prove a math theorem. That's why it's debatable. Facts are proven. Opinions are supported, explained, used to persuade. You build the best case you can.
Understanding that difference feels pretty fundamental.
It really is foundational for critical thinking.
Okay, here's something really interesting. Visuals. How can pictures or graphs boost an argument?
Oh, immensely. There are basically two flavors. First, quantitative visuals.
Like bar graphs, pie charts?
Yeah, line graphs, charts, they show data spatially. You can see the numbers, the trends, the comparisons instantly. Great for logical appeals. Much quicker than reading dense statistics.
Makes sense. And the other type?
Qualitative visuals. These appeal more to emotion. Think photographs, powerful images.
Ah, like the example of a picture of a suffering child versus just describing it.
Exactly. An image can tell a story, evoke empathy, create impact in a way words sometimes struggle to match. It connects on a different level. That's why they're used so much in presentations, marketing, advocacy.
They hit both logic and emotion, potentially.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Okay, let's try and tie all this together. Maybe look at a real-world example. How about the debate around universal health care, UHC, in the U.S.? That seems to touch on a lot of these points.
It's a perfect example, actually. Lots of layers.
So what's the core argument usually made for UHC?
Well, proponents often start by pointing out that the U.S. is pretty unique among modernized Western nations in not having universal, publicly funded healthcare.
Okay, setting a baseline comparison.
Right. Then they'll argue that costs for the uninsured are often cripplingly high, and that sometimes insurance company priorities, like profit, might clash with providing the best care. The argument often frames healthcare as a fundamental right, like education, not just a commodity.
Which directly challenges certain viewpoints.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, using what we discussed, a strong argument needs to tackle counter-arguments. What are the big ones against UHC?
Cost is usually number one, the idea that it would raise taxes significantly.
And how does the persuasive argument for UHC typically handle that?
It usually acknowledges the cost. Yes, providing healthcare for everyone is expensive, but then it often pivots.
Pivots how?
It reframes the question into one of values, asking things like, how much is too much when it comes to health? Or what kind of society do we want? It tries to shift the focus from just dollars and cents to the moral dimension, presenting the cost as an investment in collective well-being rather than just a tax burden.
Clever. Acknowledging, then reframing around values. What's another counterargument?
Another common one points to problems in other country systems like the UK, Canada, France, citing things like long wait times or maybe budget deficits.
Okay, so how's that addressed? Do they just deny it?
No, often the argument acknowledges there's some truth there, a fair amount of truth, as one might say. No system is perfect.
The concession again.
Yeah.
Showing reasonableness.
Exactly. But then what's fascinating is the reframing. It contextualizes those problems by comparing them to problems within the current U.S. system. Things like potentially long waits for specialists here, or insurance not covering certain experimental treatments, or the huge risk of medical debt even for people with insurance.
So it's saying, okay, their systems have issues, but look at the issues we have right now, including lack of access and financial ruin.
Precisely. It integrates the opposition's point, but reframes it to argue that, on balance, the problems of not having universal coverage might be worse or less aligned with societal values.
So the overall conclusion of the UHC argument often lands on
That despite the challenges, a universal system aligns better with core values like fairness and could save lives. It often draws that parallel you mentioned earlier. If we accept public education and police services as essential public goods, why not healthcare?
treating health as a fundamental right, worthy of public investment. Yeah, I can see how all the principles weave together there.
It's a really good case study for seeing persuasion in action.
This has been incredibly insightful.
Mm.
We've journeyed from the basic purpose of persuasion through crafting strong arguments, using positive framing for a thesis,
To building credibility by tackling opposing views, acknowledging limits,
navigating our own biases, understanding facts versus opinions,
and even harnessing the power of visuals, both logical and emotional.
and seeing it applied to a complex issue like healthcare really brings it home.
Absolutely. And remember, these skills aren't just academic, they're vital for how you engage with information every single day, for thinking critically.
Which raises, I guess, a final question for you, our listener.
Yeah, something to mull over.
How might consciously applying these techniques yourself, or even just getting better at spotting them when others use them, how might that change the way you interact with ideas, with news, with conversations, starting right now?
Food for thought.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us for this exploration today.
Cascade me where brains go to broadcast. Cascade me, knowledge speaks, tuition sleeps.